Hey guys, how's it going? Dudey here. Recently, I took on a challenge to do 50 days of fitness consecutively with my good friend Jack, mate, and we completed it. We smashed it. It was an incredible journey and it had many physical and psychological benefits, which is what I always try to tell you guys. Exercise has so many physical benefits, but the psychological benefits, oh my god, right? During the 50 days of fitness, I was contacted by someone I thought, hey, I know that face. So this is Lara, and she has been the face of Pure Gym for a little while now, and that's how I recognise her, from ads on Snapchat and Instagram. When Lara got in contact with me, she shared with me quite an incredible story that inspired me beyond belief, and I said to her, look, I want you to share that story with my audience, please. So we sorted it out. So I got her to travel all the way over from Wales to come and sit down with me, have a little interview, have a little chat about how she went from anorexic to athlete. There we go, Lara. Here we are. Did you enjoy the fake walk here?
Yeah, I think it's really good.
There's literally like 2 feet to the side of this camera, so I'm like stood in the corner just to make it look like we just walked in. So, Lara, you messaged me.
I did.
About the 50
I slid
days.
into the DMs.
She slid into the DMs to compliment what we were doing on the 50 days, and you said that you had quite a story to tell. So then you told me a little bit, and I was like, holy shit, I feel like my audience need to hear this because it's quite something. And I've done videos on my own mental health before about anxiety, depression and things like that. The one thing that I can't relate to is eating disorders, but I know obviously they're very prominent out there, and it's still, I feel, and this could be completely wrong, I feel that eating disorders are almost more of a taboo now than depression and anxiety itself, because it's really like not talked about much at all. Obviously you've done a video on it. It's anorexic to athlete.
Anorexic, yeah, anorexic to athlete.
And it did rather well, which
didn't do too badly.
Which is fantastic. It's great to spread the message out there, and I appreciate you coming on to talk about it. So what I'd like to ask you to do basically is, from diagnosis really, how you dealt with it, and then what you use, because I know obviously you use exercise, fitness, the gym to kind of come back from that, and I'd just like you to kind of share that story.
Well, I started my disordered eating and the disordered kind of symptoms towards my food and my body when I was about 11, but I wasn't actually diagnosed until I was 15. So I kept it very secretive, and it was just my own little thing. But in the first few stages, it's just complete denial. And then once you get the diagnosis, you get that title of anorexia nervosa, the obsession just multiplies and everything just rolls into one, and your whole life revolves around trying to satisfy this eating disorder, which is so loud, and you're trying to control everything within your life, and then you're just weighing yourself countless times each day. You're controlling your food intake, you're hiding the self-induced vomit that you created that's got a stash of it in your bedroom cupboard, just trying to hide it from your parents, and it just becomes your whole life. And it isn't the fact that you have an eating disorder, it becomes your identity, and it just becomes the only thing that you kind of live for.
So the fact that you get diagnosed, it's not like, oh shit, I have anorexia, I need to fix this. You actually took it as, oh wow, I have anorexia, let's see how far we can go.
Yeah, and then as soon as I had the people notice it, and as soon as it was acknowledged, that was almost a fuel, and that was almost, so I had it for 4 years. My weight never really dipped down. It was more bulimic tendencies, so my weight kind of stabilized. But once I had the anorexia title, it was just like, oh my god, I have this now, it has a name, it has power somewhat. And yeah, that's when the weight really fell, and I then fell down to about 5 stone within about 10 months.
Wow. So when you talk about being anorexic and things, please excuse, like I'm literally I'm a moron in this scenario, right? I can't understand. That's what I'd like to understand. Obviously, when I get hungry or like starving, for example, like I can't, there's no food source or whatever, and I'm really hungry, I need to eat, it turns to pain. So surely if you were purposely starving yourself, you were putting yourself through pain.
That
do
was
you become numb to that?
It wasn't necessarily a numbness, but that was almost the way that I self-harmed. And because my anorexia and my eating disorders sprouted from something else, and sprouted from depression, from anxiety, which is another common misconception. People just assume that eating disorders are just a physical illness, but it's all mental, and it all comes from something. It all has a trigger. And my trigger, allowed me to feel that starving myself and putting myself through pain was the only way that I could cope with those emotions. And then that was my safety, and those feelings of complete emptiness and hunger and starvation was the safety that I had.
I've never thought of it that way at all. Obviously, when you think of self-harm, you think of people that cut themselves and things like that. I've never thought that the pain through starvation is a form of...
I guess that's the way I took it. I know everyone is individual,
of course,
but
yeah,
that's the way I took it, and it just became addictive. And then once you see the weight go down, and once, you know, I started using the scale that my parents bought and was on it like 10 times a day, the numbers decreasing and, you know, controlling and fixating on every single digit humanly possible just becomes an absolute addiction.
So you're saying about the scale there, stepping on the scale 10 times a day, things like that. Are there any like early telltale signs of becoming anorexic, or even being anorexic but not diagnosed? What are the sort of things as an anorexic person that you would do? I know you've said about purging, which is
self-induced vomiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's a variety of things, but I think the one thing that doesn't really get associated or acknowledged is just the pure isolation and the lack of confidence, and it all kind of rolls around one. And my depression became quite significant, my social anxiety, my panic attacks just went through the roof, and the severity of them also just got a lot worse. And then it's just the hiding and the secrets and the way that you're trying to satisfy the eating disorder, but you have a family, you have these people, you have friends, you have teachers in school, and you're trying your best to not only listen to the voices in your head to say that you need to decrease this weight, and that's the only thing that's going to make you happy, but you've also got to combat the fact that you've got people looking, you've got people watching, and you're balancing so many things at once.
At what point did it go from I'm anorexic and I want to be as anorexic as possible, see how far I can push this, to actually, fuck, what am I doing, I now need to go the other way?
I don't think I was at that mindset where I realised how bad I was until after I was discharged and after the weight was put on.
Really?
Because that's when, you know, my mental health began, you know, improving, and the realisation of what I put myself through. So it was in August of 2016 was when my weight was really significantly bad, and I was flown home away from a holiday I was with my parents after arriving within like 2 days, and it was supposed to be a 2-week holiday, and I was put in like some significant treatment because my weight fell so low. And even at that point, even having the doctors telling me that your heart should stop, you should not be breathing, you're defying the objectives and defying, you know, science in the sense of the fact that you're living and breathing with the height, with the weight, with the BMI that you have. That wasn't a, oh no, I need to get better. That was, oh yes, I did well, and I want to continue going further, and I'm the best, da, 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 da. And it's just like that, and associative with having the body dysmorphic disorder as well, because you want to believe that you are underweight and want to believe that you know, fit into this anorexic title, but then at the same time you feel like you're overweight and you need to lose more weight, and it's just, there's so many varieties of emotions going through your head, and it just becomes so exhausting. So
for the people at home, so at your worst, just to give a rough idea, obviously your height and then your lowest weight, what was that?
So 5'8", I don't know what the BMI was exactly, but I was 5 stone 3 pounds, and
wow.
I'm over double the weight now, so yeah. But no, yeah, and you know, each week, each day, I'd set a goal for myself. I told myself, okay, this time next week, I will be happy if I've decreased my weight by 2 pounds, if I've decreased my weight by 1 pound, if I, you know, and you have that mentality, and you go on the scale. I remember multiple times that I doubled my weight loss goal, and that still wouldn't be enough. There wouldn't be a sense of victory, because you're so addicted that it's just like, it never becomes enough, and it just becomes that repetitive cycle, and you're going again and again and again before you're like, oh crap, I am now, well, I didn't realise I was a skeleton back then, but I was practically a skeleton. But once you're in that mindset, you just don't think of it in that way.
Where should we go? Yeah, absolutely. Where should we go from there? There is a question I do want to ask. I don't mean to be insensitive or anything. So this is maybe more for parents of a child that has anorexia. Was there nothing they could do? Because surely they saw this weight loss going down and down and down, and as a parent, surely you want to make your child healthy.
I think I've only began having conversations with my dad about I did a video not too long ago, and I talked to him on the phone about it. Like, how did you deal with your child, you know, going so bad into anorexia? And he understood, after years of it, understood that it wasn't just a way of him saying, prodding food within me, and that wouldn't be the productive way to kind of assess the situation and, you know, improve the situation, because it was a matter of working with me and a matter of, you know, understanding that it's an eating disorder and it's a mental illness and you can't just fix a symptom, you can't just put the weight on and, you know, expect everything's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think I only now, and it's like the guilt is sinking in now that I've come out of it, is understanding that you know, my baby sister saw me go to that weight, my family saw me go through that weight, but at that time and at that moment and at the present time when you're there doing it yourself, you're so selfish and you're so within the mentality of yourself that you kind of don't consider anyone else, and you just think them helping you is their way of punishing you and their way of, you know, preventing you from getting where you want to become. So, you know, my relationship with my parents became really bad because I was just wanting to live and breathe anorexia, and they were just preventing it for me.
Right. So they were like a hurdle stopping you from achieving this goal, which
everyone was, and that's why, like, I stopped going to school and I isolated myself so badly. And yeah,
from what you're saying, was the end goal death?
No, because I never thought of it as I never thought of anorexia as something lethal.
So you just wanted to push it as far as you possibly could?
I think it's when people, you know, would say that you're going to die of it, I was like, oh no, it's rubbish, because I still thought I was overweight. No, it was never death. It was never a suicide attempt. It was solely just control, and I needed control. I needed something to fixate on just to deal with everything else that I was going through.
Does just briefly, coming away from anorexia just for a moment, when you say about control, even now, do you find that you require control over lots of things in your life, or do you feel like now you're kind of free of that? I feel
like I'm a lot more free. I will say I've never said, and I don't think I ever will say that I'm completely free of an eating disorder. I feel like I'll always have the voices in my head, always have those kind of second opinions and the body image issues, which, you know, it's getting a lot better. But the control aspect and just the general kind of mental health side of it, I know I've come out the other side bloody well. I know I came out of it, I didn't relapse. I know that's not common. That isn't common. And I had such a smooth recovery in the sense that once I got home from France, from the holiday with my parents, and once I started my treatment, and months after that, you know, really trying to focus on mental health, really trying to acknowledge triggers and really trying to work from the foundation rather than just focusing on the symptom and rather than just focusing on weight gain, which is the issue with the hospital and the doctors involved in my treatment. It was just weight gain. It was just follow this meal plan.
So it wasn't the psychological reason?
No, it was when I was discharged is when I think my recovery began. Yeah. Because I had freedom, I had, you know, my life, and I had these things starting for me, and I was smiling and I was breathing and I was living, not just surviving. Yeah. And that's what kind of allowed me to develop into the person I am today, develop the passion, develop the love, and develop, you know, the characteristics, and just, you know, just feeling that I'm accepted on this earth, in a sense. Because when you're in the anorexic mindset, you just think that you're so alone and disvalued and just worthless.
So you've touched upon your recovery started after you discharged from hospital, and obviously that's when you could really start working on yourself, not just psychologically but physically as well. And so where did exercise come into that? Where did that start bleeding in? Where did the fitness start coming into it? And then when did you start seeing the benefits?
So originally, what part of my eating disorder, I was diagnosed with exercise addiction as well. So it was just like, okay, but you know, when I came out of it, it was definitely of a healthy mindset. So it was literally just starting to walk my dogs. I was bedbound from when the treatment really began. You know, I wasn't allowed to walk up and down the stairs in my house. I wasn't allowed to walk around the premises of my school, hence I was taken out of school. Just, I wasn't allowed to move, bar none, no calories burned.
So you don't burn calories?
Yeah.
You were at that point that you couldn't even walk around your house?
I managed to.
But you weren't allowed to?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was a very stubborn patient.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to move. And once I was granted the ability to go walk my dogs, which we had recently adopted, that was a whole new experience for me. I was like, okay, I can breathe air, I can move, I can, you know, have these experiences with my dogs, walk around the beautiful canal that we have local to my house. And it was just simple moments like that, and just starting to feel happy and starting to feel, you know, that I'm celebrating my body rather than just punishing it. And then gradually I began jogging, and then running, you know, doing more park runs.
And 9 months later, you're doing a half marathon. I probably wouldn't even be able to train for a half marathon now in 9 months, let alone.
And so I did it for an eating disorder charity.
Yeah.
So I raised money on fundraise. So that was nice to be able to celebrate the victory of gaining weight, of becoming healthy, and then kind of reinforcing it back to a community of people that, you know, support people that were in positions that I was. It was overwhelming. I cried a lot that day, and it was just celebrating the fact that I'm healthy, I'm physically able, I'm alive, I'm breathing, you know, understanding that I did actually get to the point where my life was in danger. And here I am crossing the finish line of the Cardiff Half Marathon, ran 13.1 miles, having that medal put around me. And yeah, that was probably quite poignant. And then from that moment, fitness and maintaining an active lifestyle and challenging my body in the sense of, you know, a positive thing, and, you know, strengthening it and building it rather than just punishing it. And that whole mental flip, just that kind of clicked.
So from there, obviously you got into the gym, didn't you? From all the running stuff, you got in with Pure Gym. Must say, never been to one. Never been to a Pure Gym. I do apologise. No, never been. There's one literally down the road from me.
I know because I googled it.
Oh,
I got this Airbnb.
Did you? So tell me how. Obviously, so let's start with, you know, getting into the gym. Why you went from cardio to weight training, for example, and then where that took you. How you became the face of Pure Gym.
It was a very smooth transition. I think going to the gym originally was very daunting, and I think everyone experiences that. But I think for me especially, when was I? I think I was only like my dad's friend, so I could only come once a week.
Right.
And I'd still just go on a cross trainer or go to the occasional class, and it was never really pushing myself that much. It was literally just getting used to an environment and feeling comfortable in an environment of people, because it wasn't just the gym, it was just a social environment, which I, you know, was terrified of back then. And then as time progressed, and it was about when I joined university, I had the full membership in a more local Pure Gym to where I was studying, and the more classes I did and the more people I talked to, and just the more experience and the more content that I absorbed online and, you know, research that I've been looking into, I started lifting, and I'm really enjoying it.
So you're training at Pure Gym. So how do you then go from that to becoming the face on Instagram or Snapchat of Pure Gym? How does that come about?
I just talk to people now, and, you know, building relationships, and, you know, starting to post transformation photos on my Instagram, and then I started my blog, and then I started my YouTube channel this time last year.
Go check out links in the description.
Lara Rebecca. And, you know, starting to kind of put my story out there, not in a sense of, you know, requiring pity from people. It was just to say, hey, I've been through this, but look where I am now. And it's just the motivation and, you know, demonstrating the empowerment I feel now that I've, you know, had this lifestyle flip and, you know, started living my life. And, you know, the people at the gym noticed, and then Pure Gym Official got in contact with me, and then we've just been doing bits and pieces now and then.
What I find so inspiring about your story is just the extent of where you were to how far you've come, in my opinion, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, right? And that's the first swear word of the video. That's really good for me. We're about 20 minutes in. It's phenomenal. What you've done is genuinely absolutely phenomenal, which is why I wanted to get you here, because as I've said, I've done some mental health videos myself, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about. It's that you definitely need to have a dialogue with these things, and I know for a fact that your story will inspire so many people, and I'm sure it already has with the video that you've done. So I really want to thank you so much for coming on. I really fucking appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I just swore again. I feel like this is not a video.
I swear on my channel. I swear on my channel.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's, you know, I need to. You treat this subject with respect. And just dropping unnecessary F-bombs.
It's just life.
Yeah.
Life throws some shitty tips. Oh.
There you go. Oh, do you know what? Fuck it.
Life is unpredictable, and things come your way, but what you can do is combat them, grow from them.
Absolutely.
And it's those situations is what has provided me with the tools to be who I am today, and, you know, to become somebody that I'm actually beginning to be quite proud of to be.
So you should be. So you absolutely should be. Lara, thank you so much. Link to Lara's channel is in the description. Please go check it out. Please go watch the Anorexia to Athlete video. It is incredible. And watch all our other content as well. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I thought, you know what, I've done the 50 days of fitness video. I've done mental health videos in the past, and this just felt like the perfect fit and a story that I wanted you guys to hear. So yeah, I'll see you very soon, guys. Like, share and subscribe. Sweet one, geese.
What is that?
What? You don't know?